8 hours from now, you'll be screaming at the god of chaos because he accidentally erased 3,000 years of astronomical records trying to see what this button does. But relax, right now, you're just floating in the primordial void, dreaming of equations no mortal will ever comprehend. Enjoy it. It's the only moment of peace you'll get today. Today you woke up, but you're Thoth, the god of wisdom, writing, the moon, magic, knowledge, truth, and basically everything that requires more than 2 functioning neurons. You're the only being in the Egyptian pantheon who knows the difference between your, and it causes you more existential pain than any ancient curse ever could. You open your eyes. Well, technically you have the head of an ibis, so your eyes were kind of already open anyway, but you get the idea. Your room is an infinite library that stretches in all directions, defying basic concepts of geometry that you invented yourself. Papyrus scrolls float in perfect orbits around you, each following mathematical trajectories you calculated millennia ago out of pure boredom. Each papyrus contains knowledge that would make a mortal's head explode. Literally, you tested it once. It was an accident. Well, the first one was an accident. The others were scientific research. You took notes on the results. The first thing you do every morning is the same ritual from millennia. You check your pending notes, and there it is, a pile of new papyri that magically appeared overnight. You sigh. The pile is the size of a small pyramid. A pyramid you helped design, by the way, but the pharaohs never gave you credit. You noted that injustice, too. You invented writing. Sometimes you deeply regret it. I watch as you pick up the first papyrus with your elegant scribe god hands. It's a request from Set. He wants to know if it technically counts as betrayal if he did the bad thing in another dimension. You note the question. You note your detailed answer about interdimensional jurisdiction. You note that your answer was completely ignored. You note that Set did the bad thing anyway, in 3 different dimensions, just out of spite. You note your own sigh of frustration. You note that this is sigh number 847,293 this era alone. Everything must be recorded. Everything. Breakfast in the Hall of the Gods is always an experience that tests the limits of your immortal patience. You walk in, and immediately Horus comes over with that lost puppy expression he does so well. He lost his eye again. Again. 3rd time this month. You note it. You note the date, the time, the circumstance, and the fact that this time he lost it betting on a scarab beetle race. He wants to know if you can take a look at the problem. You appreciate the unintentional pun. You note that you appreciated it. Horus doesn't understand why you're smiling. You note that too. You note that explaining the joke would kill the humor. You note that Horus probably wouldn't get it. Anyway, Ra walks past you, radiating sunlight at 6 in the morning, like a neighbor who turns on a power drill on Sunday. The light is so intense, you need to shield your ibis eyes. You created sunglasses 3,000 years ago specifically for these encounters. No one else wears them. You were ahead of your time. You always are. Ra wants to know the schedule for the day. You're the god of wisdom, not his secretary, but apparently no one informed Ra of that distinction in the last 4 billion years. You consult your notes with patience that should be canonized. You inform him that today he needs to rise in the east, cross the sky in his solar bark, die in the west, fight the serpent Apophis in the underworld, and be reborn tomorrow. Same as yesterday. Same as every day for the last billion years. Literally nothing has changed since the creation of the universe. Ra seems genuinely surprised by this information. He asks if you're sure. You note the question. You note your own desire to scream. You note that you managed to control yourself. You give yourself a mental point for that. Isis appears with a question about magic and your ibis heart races. Finally, something intellectually stimulating. She's one of the few deities who actually understands advanced magical theory. She wants to know about the theoretical foundations behind a resurrection spell. Your eyes light up with academic anticipation. You begin explaining with genuine enthusiasm the complex interaction between the Ka'i and the Bi, the necessary words of power and their etymology in the primordial language, the sacred geometry involved, and how it relates to the position of the stars. You're in the middle of a particularly elegant diagram when she interrupts you. She just wanted to know if it works on plants. She killed a fern. It was a gift from Osiris. You note your disappointment. You note that the disappointment is deep. You note that the fern didn't deserve this. You note that you'll send flowers to the fern's funeral. You note that this is pathetic. You note it anyway. Mid-morning brings your favorite work, the weighing of souls. You descend to the Duat, the underworld, where Osiris presides over the court of the dead on his obsidian throne. The air here smells like eternity and slight regret. Your job is to weigh each soul's heart against Ma'at's feathers on the sacred scales. You love this job. It's precise, it's mathematical, it's absolutely fair. The heart is either lighter than the feather or it isn't. No drama, no subjective interpretation, no impulsive God showing up to ruin everything with unsolicited opinions. The first dead person of the day enters trembling. You place the heart on the scales with clinical care. It's heavier than the feather, significantly heavier. The soul starts crying and begging, listing excuses you've heard millions of times. I didn't know. Everyone was doing it. It was just once. You note each excuse. You have a list. This soul used excuses number 3, 7, and 42. Amit the Devourer is already drooling in the corner. She's a crocodile with a hippo rear and a lion's mane, and you prefer not to think too hard about how that anatomy works biologically. You noted your doubts once. You decided some questions don't need answers. You note the judgment. Result. You note the crying. You note the specific sound a heart makes when Amit chews it. It's a wet sound. You note that description. Everything must be recorded. 42 souls later, you notice a disturbing pattern in your data. Almost all of them died doing something spectacularly stupid. One guy tried to hug a crocodile because it looked needy. A woman bet she could drink the entire Nile in one afternoon. A man challenged a hippo to a fight because the hippo looked at him wrong. Another tried using a venomous snake as a scarf because it matched his outfit. You note everything with meticulous precision. You create charts. You identify trends. You wonder if mortals are getting dumber with each passing generation, or if you're becoming less tolerant of others' stupidity. You analyze the data. The conclusion is clear, probably both. You note that conclusion. You note that it depresses you. Lunch is interrupted by a cosmic emergency. You are about to bite into your bread with honey when the universe trembles. Someone apparently tried to divide by 0 in an official calculation. If I were you, I would have let the universe collapse just to see what happens and finally get a day off, but you're too responsible for that. It's a character flaw. Honestly, you run to the library of all knowledge, where the fundamental mathematical laws of the cosmos are stored on tablets of pure light. Set is there. Of course, Set is there. When something goes catastrophically wrong, Set is always nearby with an expression that oscillates between childlike guilt and teenage defiance. He's holding a calculation tablet that is literally cracking reality around it. You ask, with a calm that should win awards, what exactly he did. He explains with disturbing enthusiasm that he wanted to know what happens if you divide infinity by 0, multiply by -1, and square it. You feel a vein pulsing in your ibis temple. You didn't even know you had visible pulsing veins. You note this anatomical discovery to study later. Set is still waiting for an answer. He seems genuinely curious. You explain slowly, as if speaking to a particularly obtuse child who also happens to be immortal and destructive, that math doesn't work that way, that there are rules, that the rules exist for reasons, that the reasons are so the universe doesn't explode. He asks why it can't explode just a little bit. You don't have an answer he would understand in less than 3 millennia of tutoring. You note your own failure to communicate basic concepts to chaotic minds. You wonder if you should create a course. You note that you'll never have the patience for it. The next 3 hours are spent fixing the fundamental structure of reality. Set helps by holding things. He drops 4 sacred tablets, breaks 2 eternal equations, and at one memorable point, sneezes on a universal constant. You note each incident. You create a new category in your filing system. Disasters caused by Set, mathematical subcategory. When you finally finish, sweat dripping down your ibis beak, you realize you missed the sunset. You added that specific shade of orange to the sky eons ago, when you still had time to appreciate beauty. It was your favorite, still is. You note your sadness at missing another one. You note that Set didn't even notice you're sad. You note that somehow hurts more than the missed sunset. Dinner brings Bastet, the cat goddess, furious in a way only feline deities can be. Someone apparently documented the number of cats in Egypt wrong in the last divine census. She is absolutely outraged. Her cat eyes gleam with indignation. You check the records carefully. You counted 3,247,891 cats in the last official count. She insists, with the unshakable certainty of someone who takes cats very seriously, that there are 3,247,892. A cat was born 20 minutes ago in a village in the Nile Delta. You update the record immediately. You add the cat's name. It's Mayu. It's a common name. You note that this is the 847th cat named Miu this year alone. You wonder if you should have invented an automatic update system millennia ago. You note that idea to implement later. You know you'll never implement it because that would mean less work, and you secretly need the work to feel useful. You note this self-awareness. You note that it's slightly pathetic. You note it anyway. Before bed, when you're already exhausted in a way gods shouldn't be able to be, Anubis shows up with a question about funerary procedures. You sigh, preparing for another obvious question, but then he surprises you. He wants to know the exact orientation of the body in relation to the constellation of Orion for a specific case involving a pharaoh who died during a partial eclipse on a Tuesday during a waning moon. It's a genuinely complex question. It requires calculations. It requires consulting multiple records. It requires intelligence. You spend an hour discussing celestial geometry, spiritual preservation angles, and the gravitational influence of the moon on the mummification process. Anubis takes notes. He asks follow-up questions that demonstrate he actually understood the previous answer. He's the only god who reads the manuals you write, all 847 volumes of them. It's the best conversation you've had in decades, maybe centuries. You note it. You almost note that you felt something close to genuine happiness, but that seems too melodramatic even for a god who documents his own sighs. You note that you almost noted it. It's almost the same thing. You're the living memory of the universe. Every thought, every action, every monumentally stupid mistake of every god and mortal needs to be documented forever by you. Only you. You lie down among your floating notes, thousands of papyri orbiting your tired form like planets around an exhausted star. The moon, your moon, shines outside through a window that shouldn't exist in an infinite library. You created it to mark the passage of time for mortals. Sometimes you forget that time means nothing to you. You have all of eternity to document everyone else's stupidity. It's not a comforting thought. And I close observing the supreme irony of your existence. You're the god who invented words, who created writing itself, who gave mortals the ability to express the inexpressible. And yet there is no word in any language, mortal or divine, sufficient to describe your specific exhaustion. You close your eyes, knowing that tomorrow Ra will ask you again what the schedule is. And you'll answer, and you'll note his question, and you'll note your own answer. And you'll note your sigh, because everything must be recorded, and tomorrow, everything starts over. Exactly the same. Forever. But at least you'll have that hour with Anubis to look forward to. It's something. You note that it's something.